Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm gonna continue where I left off. I knew about all this when Miss S came to talk to me about her sexual experiences when she recounted her trips to the singles bars and their reoccurring aftermath. I thought a bunch of things at once. I thought, you're so vague and so non-existent. You're a denizen of chaos and the underworld. You are going 10 different places at the same time. Anyone can take you by the hand and guide you down the road of their choosing. After all, if you are not the leading man in your own drama, you are a bit player in someone else's, and you might well be assigned to play a dismal, lonely, and tragic part. After Miss S recounted her story, we sat there. I thought, you have normal sexual desires, you are extremely lonely, you're unfulfilled sexually, you are afraid of men and ignorant of the world and know nothing of yourself. You wandered around like an accident waiting to happen, and the accident happens, and that's your life. I thought, part of you part of you wants to be taken, part of you wants to be a child. You were abused by your brothers and ignored by your father, and so part of you wants revenge upon men. Part of you is guilty, another part is ashamed, another part is thrilled and excited. Who are you? What did you do? What happened? That was the objective truth. That was no way of knowing the objective truth, and there never would be. There was no objective observer, and there never would be. There was no complete and accurate story. Such a thing did not and could not exist. There were and are only partial accounts and fragmentary viewpoints, but some are still better than others. Memory is not a description of the objective past. Memory is a tool. Memory is the past's guide to the future. If you remember that something bad happened, and you can figure out why, then you can try to avoid that bad thing happening again. That's the purpose of memory. It's not to remember the past. It's to stop the same damn thing from happening over and over. I thought, I could simplify Mrs. S's life. I could say that her suspicions of rape were fully justified, and that her doubt about the events was nothing but additional evidence of her thorough and long-term victimization. I could insist that her sexual partners had a legal obligation to ensure that she was not too impaired by alcohol to give consent. I could tell her that she had indisputably been subject to violent and illicit acts unless she had consented to each sexual move explicitly and verbally. I could tell her that she was an innocent victim. I could have told her all that, but it would have been true, and she would have accepted it as true and remembered it for the rest of her life. She would have been a new person with a new history and a new destiny. But I also thought, I could tell Miss S that she is a walking disaster. I could tell her that she wanders into a bar like a courtesan in a coma, that she is a danger to herself and others, that she needs to wake up, and that if she goes into singles bars and drinks too much and is taken home and has rough violent sex or even tender caring sex, then what the hell does she expect? In other words, I could have told her in more philosophically in more philosophical terms that she was Netzer's pale criminal, but the person who at one moment dares to break the sacred law and at the next shrinks from paying the price. And that would have been true too, and she would have accepted it as such and remembered it. If I had been the adherent of left-wing social justice ideology, I would have told her the first story. If I had been the adherent of a conservative ideology, I would have told her the second, and her response after having been told neither the first or the second story would have proved to my satisfaction of hers that story that I told her was true, completely irrefutable true. That would have been advice. And that would have been advice. So what I got from what I've read is having been a psychiatrist, it can be very dangerous. And psychiatrists also are people, and they have their own personal bias and opinions. And if the psychiatrists are not aware or mindful enough to be able to know about their own biases, would have in a way lead their patients down the wrong path. That may be good or bad. What he mentioned, that both story that he could have told his patient could be true, and the patient would fully accept it of it, and the psychiatrist would feel satisfied of their services and go on about their life. But the victims may or may not get to do that, get to live what the psychiatry living through. So be aware of your own biases, even if you are the person that have the power to help people.